Hey, hey, hey. Time for another Out of This World story from our space. You can't start the next chapter of your life if you keep rereading the last one. Today on our space, we close some chapters. Starting with our first OP, who was holding on to lessons learned. Girlfriend, 24, of 1.5 years, cheated on me, 22. And I don't know how to deal with her, not understanding that the relationship is over. Advice. This will be a bit longer, but I am really confused at the moment, so I want to ask this subreddit for help. English is not my first language, so please excuse any spelling errors. Quick backstory on me. My now ex-girlfriend was my third relationship in my life, and I've also been cheated on in both of my previous relationships. This is to say that I've already made a lot of mistakes you can make after being cheated on. The pick-me attempts, taking them back, getting violent towards the affair partner, and other stupid mistakes you make when you get cheated on. I've learned from these experiences. This sub has already helped me a lot. I was love-bombed and gaslit in both of the previous relationships, but I didn't even know what those terms meant at the time. I was blind to red flags and just made stupid decisions overall. After not dating for 2 years, I met my current ex-girlfriend. She was the exact opposite of me, extroverted, loud, and the life of the party. We first met at a party and she came up to me and asked me if I wanted to dance. I got uncomfortable and confused since she was extremely gorgeous, but at this point my self-esteem was at rock bottom. I just stood there not saying anything for a minute. She then just took my hand and dragged me onto the dance floor. I actually liked to dance, so I didn't fight it. And she spent the night just animating me to have fun and interact with people I hadn't met before. It was really fun, and she asked for my number at the end of the night, so I gave it to her. After talking and going out for 2 weeks, I told her about my past relationships and that I didn't know if I wanted to pursue another one. She was very understanding, but still said that she wanted me to be with her. I agreed, and for the next 1.5 years, she showed me what a relationship should actually be like. She respected my feelings, asked me how my day was, actually talked to me if something was wrong, and a lot of other small things that really showed she cared about me. I regained my self-esteem, and of course, loved her as much as I could every single day. We had arguments, but it was always productive, and trying to find a solution and never us screaming at each other. She made me feel loved and desired. This brings me to my D-Day, which was now 2 weeks ago. I was on a language travel for 1.5 months. We talked to each other daily, and I never noticed anything weird about her behavior. I got home 3 days earlier than planned and wanted to surprise her. I got back to her apartment at 11 p.m. I figured that if she wasn't awake, I'd just lie next to her and surprise her. That way, since I was also tired. I went into her apartment with her spare key and walked towards the bedroom. When I looked inside, I saw my girlfriend sleeping next to a guy I had never seen before. I felt all the emotions I had felt before and knew that the only good decision was to just walk away until I had calmed down. I went to my car and drove to my home. I tried to sleep, but couldn't even though I was tired. For the next 2 days, I didn't let her know what I saw and just replied to her messages like nothing happened. I immediately told my best friend though. Let's call him Mr. Krabs, since that's what I call him. He really helped me emotionally and got me into the boxing gym where I could let go of most of my anger. Hitting the speed bag is one of the most therapeutic physical experiences I know. I don't know why though. Maybe it's the rhythmic banging of the speed bag. I actually cried for the first time in 13 years talking to him. We talked about what I wanted to do now and how I would confront her. After all this was done, I visited my girlfriend on the day I was supposed to return. When I arrived, she was very cheerful and went in for a hug, but I held my arm out and told her that we needed to talk. I then told her all the things I talked through with Mr. Krabs. I told her that I had actually returned 3 days earlier and wanted to surprise her, but when I went into her bedroom, I saw somebody else sleeping beside her. The cheerfulness she displayed completely vanished, and she looked like she saw a ghost. She tried starting to talk, but I told her that I would first be getting everything I wanted to say off of my chest, since she owed me at least that much. I continued to talk to her about how much she had hurt me, but that I didn't hate her. I told her that I always would have listened to any problems she had and tried to work it out with her, that her cheating on me was the immediate end of our relationship. I told her all of my thoughts that I had organized with Mr. Krabs. At the end, I basically told her that I wouldn't be in her life anymore, but that I still hoped she'd be happy with the new guy. She already started crying as I was talking, but when I said the last sentence, she started crying harder than any other time I had seen her cry. After she somewhat composed herself, she started saying that the guy didn't mean anything, that it was a one-time thing, she'd never do it again, and all the other things that I've seen written on this subreddit before. I told her that she knew exactly how much it would hurt me, and she still did it, so I couldn't take her back. At this point, she started talking about how much of a terrible human being she is, and that she should just die. I didn't want to leave her like that, so I tried calming her down, but she kept talking about how she doesn't want to live if I'm not with her. So I called her best friend over and explained the situation before leaving. After this was done, I sat in my car and on the way home, started crying again. I suppressed my emotions as much as possible in front of her, but I was, and still am, a wreck. Now we finally get to the reason I'm posting on this sub. Since the day I confronted her, she has been spamming my phone with texts and calls to the point where I had to block her. After I blocked her, she drove to my apartment and started ringing the doorbell, begging me to talk to her. I tried ignoring her and the ringing stopped at some point. When I went out a bit later to buy groceries, she was still in front of my house waiting for me. I didn't see her, and as soon as I walked out the door, she threw herself at me, telling me how sorry she was and that we needed to talk. I told her that I had already said everything there is to say. After getting her off of me, I asked her to stop bothering me so I could heal, but she isn't listening. Every time I go out, I weirdly run into her, sometimes alone, sometimes with her friends, but she always mysteriously shows up wherever I go. I keep ignoring her, but she still won't stop. How do I deal with this? I still like her and hope she gets better, but she isn't respecting anything I told her about me needing space from her to heal. She would have always listened to a request like this, but she's been acting so weird ever since I confronted her. She even gets her friends to write to me about how I should forgive her and take her back, but anyone that wrote that to me, I already have blocked. It just makes me sad seeing her like this, and I don't know what to do anymore. I don't want to move since most of my friends are in this city and the apartment I'm renting is perfect for me. I don't want to get a restraining order, but at this point, I might have to. Thank you for reading. Any advice would be much appreciated. Here comes the advice. Antique Eye 8029 says, if she always shows up at the places you go to, check your phone for a tracking app. Also check your car for tracking device. Good luck. The OP replies, she is probably tracking my phone. Thank you for the advice. I'll get someone who knows what they are doing to take a look at my phone, and I'll check my car. Critical Age 1687 adds, speaking of your car, a lot of newer cars like mine have a phone app from the manufacturer that allows you, or another user, to check the car's status and location. If you have one of those, change the password. Tercer78 chimes in, have you sought a restraining order? Or simply pay a lawyer to write a sternly written letter about ceasing and desisting to scare her off. Your ex is mentally ill. It makes it very difficult because no logic gets through to her. Her behavior is very concerning. In the meantime, completely gray rock her. Stop being nice. Ignore her. Let her know you're seeking a restraining order or have seen a lawyer for the harassment. You have to turn mean about it and become a very boring gray rock. The OP replies, I will write a letter to her as suggested by another commenter. If it doesn't stop afterwards, I will look to take more serious actions against her. Then I'll try to stop myself from seeing her as the person I've been with. Thank you for the advice. Responsible Yam 7973 chimes in, you're 1 year younger than me, but hundreds of years ahead of everyone my age when it comes to emotional maturity. Well done. OP replies, my previous experiences showed me a lot of things I did wrong, but this time I'm satisfied with how well I handled it. Thank you for the kind words. Cranach adds in, first of all, huge props for how you handled this. I can't imagine any better way how to handle this. What I would do in your case would be to give her one more chance to leave you alone. Write her a letter where you tell her that you see no reason in talking to her since she has showed you clearly how good she is at lying to you. You also don't believe that the one time she cheats on you is the one time you catch her. What are the chances? And most of all, you have no desire to talk to her because she never made any attempt to come clean, which shows you that she planned to lie to you forever. She had more than enough time to come clean before you met with her. Because of all that, you can't believe a single word that comes out of her mouth, and that makes any conversation unnecessary. If she wants to show you that you meant anything to her, then she can show that the best way by respecting your wish for distance and stay as far away from you as she can. If she won't do that, then you will be forced to go to the police to get a restraining order. Stay strong and stay on your path. You are doing that great, champ, and keep on going to the boxing gym. It will be good for you. Last but not least, since she showed you how good she is at lying to you, you better assume that this wasn't her first rodeo. So go to a doctor and get tested for STDs. Better safe than sorry. The OP replies, thank you for reminding me to get an STD check. I just called my doctor. Also, the letter is a great idea. My mom used to write letters to me to convey her feelings after a disagreement. Thank you for all the encouragement. When it's time to let go, do it. There can be no comparing or second guessing. It just has to be done, especially if you're unhappy and worry all the time. You should not have to babysit your lover, OP. By communicating firmly and directly, you are acting like an adult. This kind of behavior will lead your ex to increase their respect for you and finally get the message that you are no longer interested in having a relationship with him. It is important to establish boundaries for yourself. While you're working on letting things cool down between you and your ex, try to avoid places and situations where you know he or she might be. If it gets to a point where you're continually made to feel uncomfortable, it might become necessary to talk directly to him or her again. Be prepared to say exactly what he or she is doing and how it makes you feel. You might even want to take a friend with you when you talk to him or her. You need to be confident in this situation, as your ex might be looking for hope that you want to get back together. This is the time to be firm because you really want them to get the message. This is not the time to argue or fight. You are merely communicating your boundaries. If you feel like your situation is truly dangerous, please tell someone. parent, friend, or even the police. Sometimes serious measures must be taken to free yourself from a troubled ex. Don't wait until it's too late, OP. Up next, sometimes we have to be the hero of our own story. Is it wrong I feel happy about this karma? So about 4 years ago, I was in a long-term relationship with my ex. He had this best friend who I knew had some mental health issues, so I went out of my way to make her feel included and happy. I invited her to spend time with my friends and would check up on her every week to make sure she was okay. On my birthday that year, my boyfriend had to leave my party early. It was just the two of us eating pizza and sweets outside. He said his friend was having a panic attack and may hurt herself. I told him to make sure that she's okay and to let me know when things are settled down. 2 days later, he sits me down and says that they both have feelings for each other, but didn't act on them until my birthday. He said he's leaving me for her. 2 weeks after this, he gives her a ring that was meant for me originally. I was told this by his other best friend, and they said they're getting married. In between their wedding and their engagement, his best friend made my life a living hell. She found out I worked with mentally challenged kids and actually bought a bag of candy and gave it to a kid under the condition that she lie and say I hurt her. I had to deal with that for a few days and ended up not being able to volunteer there anymore because parents were worried even though it was proven false. I asked her why she did this and she said it was because I shouldn't have taken her man's virginity because that was meant for her. Found this incredibly off-putting. She harassed me for a few weeks and then stopped, but her friends would randomly message me updates to taunt me from different numbers. They got married and I was so upset and prayed really hard that she feels the pain I did. I ended up just going about my life not thinking about it because it irked me how much some people can be so horrible. Like I couldn't understand why I was such an enemy. So I decided not to think about it much because it was so disturbing and made me not trust many people. Well, today, I got a message from her. She said he cheated on her and they're getting a divorce, but she suspects he's also cheating with me in addition to this other girl he left her for. The thing is, I live extremely far away from them and haven't spoken to them or anyone who knows them in a long time. I didn't respond. My issue is, I feel happy, like karma happened. I feel horrible that I'm happy. I shouldn't care, but I feel good. I don't like that I feel happy at someone else's pain. My question is, do I respond? Do I ignore everything? Is it bad that I feel happy this happened? First response from Trash Takes Itself Out. Don't respond. She's wanting attention. Best to keep her at distance. Sounds like a drama llama. Don't give her airtime. That satisfied feeling you have at her telling you what has happened? It's called Schadenfreude. Comes in 3 different flavors, but the healthy one is about justice when there has been an inequity, like when someone who has an affair partner gets cheated. Perfectly normal and healthy given the circumstances you've described. Regular Bat 4449 adds on, he more than likely cheated on you with her. You dodged the bullet. If it makes you smile, then just smile and continue with your life. Just block her and live your best life knowing she got the crappy end of the stick. The OP replies, well, I mean, they even admitted they cheated on my birthday, but they probably started before. We were still together on my birthday, and they said the first time they acted on anything was my birthday. Orchid Glimmer thinks, do not respond. After everything she did, why would you even think about it? She's just looking for attention. Let her find it somewhere else. Block her, block all of her friends, and just let them all wallow in the toxic cesspool they live in. ETAC No says, ignore her. Block her as well and her friends who taunted you. Just stay happy far from these toxic people. The OP responds, yeah, it's so odd that adults behave like teens sometimes. Like, who has the time? I remember some of the early texts I got. One said that she was pregnant, which wasn't true. They just said it to try to make me upset. Another sent me photos of them kissing. It was so weird. Like, who has the time or energy to do that? What was the motivation? Don't people have jobs or something? I barely date now. I had one relationship after this one, and that one ended up with me in the hospital. So I just kind of don't trust people enough to date anymore. I can no longer be aroused by the thought of a man's genitalia. I'm not sure what to do about that. Like, I could be horny, then I start to watch porn, or I just use my imagination, and suddenly I'm like the Sahara Desert. I should probably get help for that. I'm so sorry this happened, OP. You did not deserve to be treated that way, by him or her. The best thing you can do is go on about your life. Ignore her and ignore them. They add no value to your life, and you shouldn't waste your energy on them. You're right, she got a taste of her own medicine. Your best revenge is living the best life you can for you and you alone. Work on your own happiness and focus on your own dreams and goals. Thank you for joining us today. Like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. Also, please let us know what you thought of today's content. See you soon.